All right. So Glenn had suggested to go speak to the man that's sitting on one of the piers alone, and he's staring off in the distance. And Kildare, he was asking Kildare if that was a good idea.
Yes.
All right. Do you guys move up to him?
No, we stand on the side of the pier and we. Hey, what's your name?
Number.
What name? Tony. F you, Tony. Now we go up to him.
All right. You guys follow along the side of the docks and go to the pier that he's on. Cross over to the end of the pier, and you see that he's sitting on a small crate, and he's looking forward into the distance.
Okay, before we talk to him, what's his appearance?
This is a human of average stature. He is wearing leather armor with no sleeves, a skirt. He has a cudgel at his hip. He has long black hair tied in the back, and he has a leather skull cap. And he seems to be very distant in his look. He has a smile on his face.
Oh, he crazy. Let's talk to him.
All right. He does not acknowledge you walking up to him.
Just say, hello there, may we have a bit of your time?
He says, I have all the time in the world.
Would you mind answering some questions for us?
What would you like to know? He still stares forward.
You know, we could procure some products that may or may not be considered, I don't know how to word it, not considered good by the guards of the city.
Roll me a persuasion.
You know how I am with persuasion.
Yeah, always using it.
No.
Oh.
How to use it even if you don't got it.
You're asking questions. You're trying to first answer people.
All right, so
Shit.
well,
If this were an older... Oh, you got a 14?
Yeah.
Just to backtrack, you're asking, like, if this were an older edition, it'd be a gather information, which is not a thing anymore. So I have to use persuasion to get somebody to answer a question with your influence. So you got a 14. He still does not turn to look at you or do any gesture other than sit where he is and stare forward. And he says, of course, I deal with that myself. You can find that around the warehouses.
Which one in particular would you recommend us going to, or should we, or will you show us around?
Oh, I'm afraid I can't move from this spot at the moment. But if you go to the far right warehouse on this side, you'll find what you're looking for.
Say, well, thank you, my friend.
It is not a problem.
Then I
Yeah,
could
I'll
be
take-
like, what were you saying?
After you, Glenn. After you, Glenn.
Okay, so we'll mosey our way on over to the warehouse he specified.
So if you're facing towards the city, the far right would be up against the shipyards of docks. I'm sorry. If you're facing towards the city, the far right on your side would be the very end of the merchant dockyard, up against the military shipyard. So if you follow the dockyard, it'll take a little bit, but winding around the workers and whatnot, you can make your way to this final warehouse. Give me a perception check, both of you, though.
Oh, I think that's the one. Okay.
Oh, shit.
We wouldn't just use our passive perception or anything like that.
Yeah, you can use your passive. I don't have it currently down for Kildry, but I know it's a lot higher than 9. So you both would hear this.
Well, my passive.
Yeah, it'd be higher than 9 for sure.
Okay.
But as you are starting to go down the docks towards this warehouse that the man described on the far right, both of you hear a large amount of birds behind you towards the entrance of the harbor. It's like seabirds that you would usually hear, but this is a large amount of seabirds. And your bird on your shoulder starts to get nervous. You see a large amount of birds coming in from the harbor entrance. Below them are 2 large warships that you see coming into the harbor. These warships are moving right beside each other at the same speed, and they start to pass by you while you're on the docks. You see they are manned by men clad in white armor. Some of them wearing helmets. You see shields. And as it passes by more so, you see large tethering cables connected to the backs of these ships. As they row by, they are large oared ships. Large tethered cables that are connected to a much larger ship. So 2 ships of war pulling a much larger ship behind it, going into the harbor, and they seem to be going to the military shipyard. This large ship does not appear to have any men on it, and looks to be of a different design in style. And it is completely covered in blood and gore. And you hear all of these birds flapping around, trying to get their pickings at the ship. You don't see any animals on the ship. You just see a lot of blood and gore covering this ship. There are no men on top. And as it is passing by, heading towards the military shipyard, the people working the docks notice it too and start moving around you to watch. And they start murmuring quietly. You overhear somebody saying nearby, That's not one of ours. What is it? And the rest of it's just murmuring as they don't know what it's up. It passes by you, goes into the military shipyard, which is the large circular dockyard that's closed off. And it goes around the corner. You don't see it again.
But the soldiers or the knights, whatever we saw on the two ships in front, they were of this kingdom's, right?
They appeared to be wearing the trapping, the color scheme of the soldiers you've seen, but they were not like the heavily armored guys that you saw.
Okay.
They were lighter armored, but they still had some armor shields that had the heraldry and sigil and color scheme.
That's their armada.
Yeah, that
That's
might be.
probably like people to, battle on the seas. You don't want heavy armor. If you fall in the
Yeah.
ocean,
I must say this out of character that ship with all the birds, probably a bunch of dead people on it.
oh, probably. But
All the birds
might
around
be
it.
a ship that we might be interested in.
Raiders and everything.
That might be a ship we might be interested in.
So, do we want to continue to the warehouse? Or
Yeah,
maybe
I'll say that.
face up?
We're just going to take note of that.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
take note of that.
That was a big, nice boat.
It was an extremely large warship, from what you could tell.
Go for a warship ride with the warship man.
Well, if you want to get on it, you'd have to go in.
It ain't going nowhere. Let's continue trying to find the black market.
Yeah, we'll keep on. I guess keep on going towards the warehouse.
All right. You move to this warehouse at the end of the docks, and you see a large amount of crates and other smaller, like fishing boats and stuff like that are sitting outside of it on the docks itself, not in the water. It's like it's there for storage until they need them again. There is no visible entrance at the front of where it's sticking out towards the docks itself. You would have to go around to the side of it to find a doorway, potentially. Do you investigate further?
Yes. But I don't know if there's a thing where we can like slow our walking speed so we're more like stealthy.
It'd be a stealth check.
No, I meant like
I'm an expert, so I need
like we have our marching order, but it's not really combat, but just like so we can.
You
walk
don't want to.
a little slower. That way, we're not, making as much notice, seeing things clear and stuff.
It'd be a stealth check.
Okay.
I'm an expert at stealth. Do I still need a roll or what?
Do you want to be stealthy?
Well, if he said that we should go in quietly, yeah.
Not really
Okay.
going quietly, but just
You get your
take the view in, just walk slower, kind of.
Oh, you can definitely take your time. It'll just take longer.
Yeah, I want our characters to kind of like slow down. That way, we can't really be surprised.
If you're wanting to be stealthy, though, that is a stealth check.
I'm not wanting to be stealthy. Like, I
If
don't
you're
care
wanting to not be seen, that is a stealth check.
I don't want to not be seen. I just want,
All right, so you guys casually look around this place, not stealthily, but casually look around this place for a long period of time. It takes you a good 15 minutes or so to get around the entirety of it. You only see one entrance, and it's at one of the sides pointing to another warehouse. There is a large amount of crates and barrels along this side, so it's kind of closing it off to a certain area. Within that area is the door into the building. But you also notice there is a large man sitting on a crate beside the door. What do you do?
How's the man look?
What's his appearance, like stature and everything?
You, from a distance, see that this is a kind of tubby man, still large though. Wearing
My character?
large, tall in stature, but still
Okay.
kind of tubby. He is tanned with a very small cut ponytail, like shaved side of the head, but it's got a little ponytail sticking off the top of it. He's not looking at you. He's looking down, doing something. This man is wearing a bit of leather, like, I guess it'd be like a bandolier of leather strapping with a leather skirt, sandals. He appears to have a short sword on his hip, and he has in his hands a dagger, and he's whittling. You do not see what he's whittling.
How far away is he roughly?
You are probably about 70 feet away from him.
Okay.
Since you're not really approaching, he's sitting on a crate
Next to
beside
the
the door, the only door that you've seen.
Okay. Then we'll approach the man.
Kildrew, do you follow?
I'll go with him, but I'll take a couple steps behind.
Okay.
Take a couple steps behind him.
All right. How close do you want to get to this guy, Glenn?
Say about 10 feet. No, about 15 feet. I try to make myself a little noticed. Saying like, "Excuse me, sir."
Okay. He looks up from his whittling. He's like, "What do you want?"
I was told to come to this warehouse in particular for some goods.
Goods.
Yes, goods. You seem to be in front of this door as if you are guarding it. So we are wondering if we may have entry.
Give me a persuasion again.
Dang
You use persuasive actions. I'm going to ask you to use persuasion.
Has he noticed me yet?
Stats are not on my side.
I mean, if you're behind him ever so slightly, he has not.
Okay, so
At least he's not acknowledged you in wording. Oh my god. D20 plus 2, you got a 4.
these dice maiden freaking sucks. Alright. I like to go around the building.
Which
See
way
if
do you want to go?
to the more open side. You said maybe to the left.
All right. He responds to this persuasion attempt. And he says, "You're not getting in this building. Go away." And then he looks back down to his whittling and resumes. And then I guess Kildry runs off to leave.
Yeah,
Glenn,
Kildry just
what
bails
do you
on
want
me.
to do?
I'll pull out a few gold and be like, "Are you sure about that? The man on the dock said this was the place to go. Now, don't be like that." Do I need to do another persuasion check?
How much gold? How much gold did you pull out?
I'll say 3 gold.
So you got 3 gold in your hands, and you said the man at the dock told you to go here.
Yeah. Do I need to roll persuasion?
He stands up, looking at you, and he said, "What man said to go here?"
The man on the dock. He was just looking out into the distance. Seemed like he was just thinking very hard. Looking out into the ocean.
Well, I'm going around the building. Is
Yep.
there any like windows or anything?
You do not see any windows. It seems to be a closed off sandstone structure.
Any cracks or anything?
You could see that there is top of the building. The roofing is made of wood. You could possibly try to climb the building and see if there's any like connection between the wood and the stone.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Let's get back to that in a second. Glenn pointed out at the dock there was a man, and the guy says, "The guy at the dock will have a problem if he keeps sending people over here." And then he looks at the gold in your hand. Give me 2 persuasion rolls.
2.
Yeah, advantage, Glenn. And while he's doing that, Kildry, do a athletics check.
So 15 was my highest one.
All right.
Really much better.
Kildry, what's your athletics?
1. $14.
Not bad. All right. You start to climb the sandstone walls. You find some points where you can kick your talons into, and you start to scale the wall. The man with Glenn takes the gold from Glenn's hand, and he says, "All right, but don't come here again after you leave. You can't be seen more than once out here."
To say fair enough.
And then he sits back down and whittles and nods to the door. Meanwhile, Kildry's climbing the wall. Kildry makes it to what appears to be a seam where the wooden roof is connected, and you can see a crawl space just past where it's going over it. Give me another athletics.
What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Oh, God.
Boy.
Kildry rolled a 3. He loses his grip.
How'd you guys find out? I didn't say anything of mine.
It says roll d20 plus 1, and it got a.
You rolled a 2, but the result was a 3. You're plus 1.
Oh, right there. I see it up there. Yeah. The hell.
All right. Okay, so you spent 3 gold, so mark that off. Was it Kildry earlier in the shop that did the 2 gold, or was it Glenn again?
It's me.
Okay, so Kildry should have lost 2 gold earlier too, so make note of that. So Glenn just lost 3 gold for bribe. Kildry falls off of the side of the wall, having lost his grip while trying to shuffle into it. And
Which, outside or inside?
outside.
What the hell?
So I got to do some damage to you because you smacked the ground.
He's a bird, right? So his wings are giving some like
I have no
damage mitigation.
He's a flightless bird.
They can still catch a little bit of air.
Kildry takes 7. Kildry takes 7 bludgeoning damage as he smacks the ground after falling.
This I don't like using this dice main.